My wine glass trembled as his words cut through the air like shards of glass. My son deserves better than someone from the gutter. 23 people froze mid-breath. Laughter died, and I realized I was the entertainment for the evening. That was the night I decided, if there's even a 1% chance to fight back, I'll take it. And I didn't just take it. I took everything. If you've ever been humiliated, underestimated, or treated like you didn't belong, this story is for you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready for one of the most satisfying revenge stories you'll ever hear. The air in the Harrington dining hall felt suffocating. Like the chandeliers themselves were watching. William Harrington sat at the head of the table, the self-proclaimed king of his empire, surrounded by his business allies and country club disciples. His son, my boyfriend Quinn, sat beside me, frozen, pale, helpless. I was wearing a dress I'd borrowed for the occasion, one that I'd chosen carefully so I could blend into their world, or at least try to. But to William, I wasn't a guest. I was an intruder. When he called me street garbage in a borrowed dress, the laughter from his peers was polite, restrained, the kind that hurts worse than outright cruelty. Each chuckle chipped away at something inside me. I felt my nails dig into my palms, my chest tightening, heartbeat pounding in my throat. It wasn't embarrassment. It was something deeper. Rage. I folded my napkin neatly, placed it beside my untouched salmon, and stood. "Thank you for dinner, Mr. Harrington," I said, my voice steady. "And thank you for finally being honest about how you feel," he smirked. Satisfied, victorious. He thought he'd broken me. If only he knew. As I walked out, I could feel the eyes following me, whispers rippling through the room, past the priceless artwork, past the servants who pretended not to see, past the Bentley he bragged about. I stepped into the cold night and reminded myself who I was. My name is Zafira, cross, 32, self-made, and about to teach William Harrington the most expensive lesson of his life. Quinn caught up to me by my car, my sensible little Toyota. He'd once joked was cute. "I'm so sorry," he said, eyes red. I didn't know he would. I placed a hand on his cheek. "It's not your fault, but it ends tonight." He wanted to make his father apologize, but I wasn't interested in words. I was interested in consequences. As I drove away from the mansion, city lights streaking by, I dialed my assistant. "Danielle, it's me. Miss Cross. Is everything all right?" "Cancel the Harrington merger," she hesitated. "Ma'am, that's a $2 billion deal." "I know. Cancel it." Her typing filled the silence. "Should I leak it to the press?" "Not yet," I said. Let him wake up to the email first. That was the thing about men like William. They only understood pain when it hit their wallets. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Cross Technologies, the company he'd been so desperate to merge with, was mine. The nobody from the gutter owned the very empire he needed to survive the next decade. I'd built it quietly, piece by piece, under the radar. Patents, acquisitions, innovation. While men like William played golf, I was building empires. And I'd learned that the greatest power is being underestimated. By the time I reached my penthouse, my phone was lighting up like fireworks. Calls from Quinn, from his mother, from numbers I didn't recognize, and one from Martin Keating, the CFO of Harrington Industries. "Zafira, we just got notice you terminated the merger. There must be some mistake." "No mistake, Martin. The board already approved. This could destroy us." "Then maybe your CEO should have thought about that before calling me garbage in front of a room full of people." Silence. Then a quiet, "Oh my God, what did he do?" I hung up and poured myself a scotch, the burn matching the fire in my chest. I watched the city skyline flicker, each light a reminder that I had built myself, from nothing into everything they told me I could never be. The next morning, I woke to 47 missed calls. By noon, Bloomberg had the story. Cross Technologies terminates 2B merger, citing misaligned values. Vague. Perfectly devastating. That was when my assistant buzzed me. William Harrington is here. In the lobby. I nearly choked on my coffee. He's here. He's making a scene. Shall I have him removed? I smiled. No. Send him up, but make him wait. 45 minutes later, I walked into the conference room. William Harrington was pacing, his immaculate suit now wrinkled, his arrogance cracking. He stood when I entered, pride barely stitched together. Zafira, thank you for seeing me. You have 5 minutes. He swallowed. Apologize. My words last night were inappropriate. Inappropriate? I laughed. You called me garbage, William. That's not inappropriate. That's honest. His jaw twitched. I was drunk. No, you were truthful. Drunk words, sober thoughts. He tried to regain footing. This merger is business, not personal. I leaned in, voice cold. You made it personal the second you opened your mouth. He flinched. I could see the cracks spreading. The fear of a man realizing he'd finally lost control. You researched me, right? I asked. You found the foster homes, the part-time jobs, the night shifts. You thought that story ended there. You never looked at what I built after. I gestured to the window, the skyline glittering with my victories. You think I'm garbage because you've never had to fight for air, because you've never known hunger, because everything you own was handed to you. But me, I earned every inch of this city, every deal, every dollar, every sleepless night that got me here. William's voice broke. If you kill this deal, Harrington Industries will collapse. Then maybe it should, I said, walking to the door. Maybe it's time the old guard makes way for people who build, not inherit. He scrambled to his feet. What about my son? You're going to destroy his inheritance. I turned to him, calm, deliberate. Your son doesn't need to inherit success. He can create it. That's the difference between us. You see inheritance as destiny. I see it as a crutch. And with that, I walked out, leaving him with nothing but the echo of his own arrogance. Back in my office, Danielle looked up from her desk. Fairchild Corporation wants to meet Monday. They're interested in a merger. Good. Make sure William hears about it before lunch. She smirked. Already arranged. Then she hesitated. Also, Quinn's here. He's been waiting an hour. My heart stuttered. When I entered my office, Quinn was sitting in my chair, eyes red. Hey, he whispered. Hey! I heard everything, he said. Danielle let me watch the feed. He took my hands. I let him treat you that way. I kept hoping he'd change. I'm ashamed of that. I shook my head, but he pressed on. I don't want his money. I don't want his approval. I want you. Let's build something together. No inheritance, no strings. I smiled through the ache. Are you sure? You'd be walking away from everything. He laughed. You just walked away from $2 billion. I think I'll manage. That was the moment I knew. I hadn't lost anything. I'd gained everything that mattered. Moments later, Danielle's voice came through the intercom. Ma'am, William Harrington just called an emergency board meeting. Rumor is they're considering reaching out to you. Over his head, I clicked speaker. Tell them Cross Technologies might reconsider a merger. Under new leadership. Quinn blinked. You're going to oust my father. I smiled. I'm going to give them a choice. Evolve or perish. And they chose. By Monday, William Harrington was no longer CEO. By Tuesday, Cross Technologies merged with the newly restructured Harrington Industries. By Wednesday, Quinn became our new head of strategic development. And by Thursday, William learned the most expensive lesson of his life. Never call someone garbage unless you're prepared to be taken out with it. 6 months later, Quinn and I were engaged. His father hadn't spoken to him since, but his mother had started calling again, quietly rebuilding bridges on new, honest terms. And as for me, I don't hold grudges. I hold ownership. because respect isn't inherited. It's earned. And sometimes, the trash takes itself out, along with everything it thought it owned. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button. It helps the channel more than you know. Tell us in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? And of course, make sure to subscribe for more stories like this one. Stories where karma shows up wearing heels and holding a termination contract. Because sometimes, justice looks really good in a borrowed dress.